Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our webinar for Advanced Data. We're so glad that you've joined us this morning and taken time out of your very busy day and schedule to listen to what we have to say and to collaborate with us. My name is Paul Hitchcock, and I'm the General Manager of Advanced Data, and I'm joined by Jason Shavy and Brian Shavy, who are co-founders and CEO and CTO, respectively. And I see many of our partners and valued friends joining the webinar with us. And we're so grateful again for your time. And we're going to have a good time. We expect to spend about 30 minutes talking with some important developments in the space of AI. And after the end of 30 minutes, we're going to have time for some questions and answers. So let's get everybody's brains working a little bit this morning. And let's start by asking a question. And if you get a chance, go ahead and open your chat feature inside the webinar. Open up your chat feature, and we want everybody to just kind of enter the number that best matches what you see as your AI usage. So we have some clients who are using AI and partners who are using AI, and they're seeing some clear benefits, but it's not widespread. That may describe some of you. If that's you, go ahead and enter one. We have some of our partners that are trying AI but don't feel like it's working for them. We've actually heard that directly from a couple users. And if that matches your experience, go ahead and enter number 2 in the chat. And if you don't have time to mess with this and you don't see the benefit of the value, go ahead and enter 3, okay? So everybody probably falls in one of these 3 categories. And as I look in chat here, we see, oh, this is great. A lot of ones. In fact, looks like everybody's on a 1, which is great. It means that everybody's doing something and using AI in a specific way. We think that there's another tier even beyond that number 1, that seeing clear benefits but not having it widespread within your organization. We think that there's more to be had. And so to give you an illustration of this, I'd like to share just a little perspective with you. If everybody can think back to January of 2020, you probably had heard some rumblings about a disease overseas, right? And you might have heard about it, might have heard that maybe it was coming to the US, but everything was still working well and there were no problems. Schools were still open. You may also have had the same moment that I had, where in March of 2020, all of a sudden everything shut down and it happened super quick. And we would refer to this as a system shock event. I want to share just a brief story about what one company did to minimize the shock and use this as a catapult to enhance their business and their organization in a positive way. This company here is a company that I had a chance to work with. They're new fabrics, and they developed a product called TheraMask. And sometime in the January, February timeframe, before things got really crazy, they had a simple internal meeting, and they said, well, what would happen if we had this thing come overseas, and what would we do with our workforce, and what could we provide? Long story short, they ended up providing literally tens of millions of masks, not dollars, masks, to the country, and they helped end the pandemic. And so we can see that a very simple, small event had an oversized impact on that organization. I share this because we believe at Advanced Data that this is the phase we're in with AI. We believe that we're in the January, February phase where there's lots of opportunity, lots of exciting things happening, and we want all of our partners to be able to participate to the highest degree possible and harness this opportunity. And so we're going to show you some of these things that we've been experiencing internally, and we want to experience it with you. Jason, would you like to show us some of what you have prepared and share a little more about how this is working at Advanced Data?
Absolutely. I appreciate yeah. I'm going to share my screen, so I'll have to kind of take over here. We'll kind of look at what we've got. I find that anytime I get a chance to talk about AI, I get really excited. So I kind of joke, and I tell whoever I can. I was actually taking my neighbor's kids to school the other day. They were in my car, and I was talking to them about AI, elementary school kids. And so it was great. And so any chance I get to talk about it, I love it. Maybe some of you have seen this slide before. This is was in the news recently. I think it was Forbes or somebody who showed this. And what this is showing is the theoretical coverage of AI in the industry. And so you can maybe see the different segments of businesses in the market, maybe different areas of your business in here. And you see the red is where we've felt and seen it actually take effect today. So in sales and office and business and finance and math and coding and development, management, legal, education. This is where we've seen the biggest impact so far. But you can see there's much more room to grow in a lot of areas. And I thought this was a really interesting view to say, all right, AI is there, but there's more to come. And it's really exciting. And Paula talked about this inflection point of if we prepare now, the investments that we prepare are going to pay dividends in the future. So yeah, kind of a cool slide to kind of look at. The other thing I want to share is as we talk about the impact of AI in our workforce, as business leaders, the efficiency gains that we can see. And so today, this is a fully utilized employee at 100%. There they are. With AI and currently what we have, we're seeing some efficiencies, and this is conservative. Maybe you're getting more or less than this, but we're seeing some efficiency gains on a per employee basis who is engaged in using AI. But what we really see as AI in the future is as a force multiplier. And so not just using AI, but a deep knowledge of how to use AI is really going to help gain these big efficiency gains. And so a single employee is going to be able to handle more than what they could typically do in the past, and more than double. We kind of predict depending on different industries and whatnot. So this is exciting to look at, and as we look into the future and see these efficiency gains that can be had. All right, and I want to talk about this right now, and we'll spend a little time here, and then we'll show some examples of this. So we see AI usage in 3 tiers: as an efficiency tool, as a competitive edge, and as solving big problems within your organization. The goal of each of these, and let's talk about them real quick, is the goal of the efficiency tool is to save time and reduce manual work. This is where most businesses are today. This is where probably most of us are today. We're using it to draft emails, meeting summaries, note takers, document creation, marketing, content generation, sales assistance. We may use it as a chat search engine replacement, right? So we're saying instead of going to Google, we're going to AI, and we're getting more relevant and maybe deeper knowledge there, right? And I think you could probably all check those boxes that yes, I've used it in one of those areas. And this is good. I mean, these efficiency tools is an important part. When I go through this, it doesn't mean that if you're here, you want to get to here, it doesn't mean you need to neglect the efficiency tools, because those will always be there. They're kind of personal skills that we would use throughout this whole process. So spending time here and learning this is important. When we get to the competitive edge, this is the goal here, is where AI is used to outperform competitors. So what we're looking here is we're looking at AI-powered sales prospecting maybe, or gaining market intelligence. We're doing customer insights or smart marketing, sales enablement. These are all kind of buzzwords, but they're in there to kind of share that it's getting more into the business process. It's not just an individual, it's more a team now, and it's helping a team accelerate. And then the final one is AI solving big problems. And so this, where we're at here, is the goal is AI to solve problems that were previously either unsolvable for us or they were too expensive. But there's some inhibiting factor that said we can't do this because of budgets or human capital limitations or what have you, right? So some examples of this, and I'll share some even personal examples, but we see doctors using AI for diagnostic assistance, or high-level strategic analysis. We're looking at predictive healthcare and autonomous operations, things like that, drug discovery, and lots of different things. I was talking to forensic accountants the other day at a conference, and they were talking about how they're starting to look at AI to help them really across these huge data sets dig in and look at fraud detection, things like that. So it was really interesting how AI is able to solve those big kind of crucial problems that your business may face or are trying to overcome. And so what I want to do is let's actually, instead of just talking about these things, I want to show some of this to you. I want to and maybe you've done this before, but let's jump in and see a couple demos. And so the three that I want to show really quickly is how can we use AI to create social media posts, content creation? How can I take an RFP that I want to respond to as a company and allow it to help me build a proposal? And then also look at maybe some financials and do an analysis on those financials and what can it actually do? And so let's do this. I've got a couple tabs here that we're going to take a look at. So the first thing I want to do is we said social media. And so when we talk about this, maybe we've heard the term, at least I did in my computer science career in school, they said garbage in, garbage out. And what that means is you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. And so spending some time up front, figuring out, right, how do I need to word this? How do I need to structure this? This skill is called prompt creation. And so I've got a pre-built prompt here that I'm just going to take, paste, copy in here. And so
can you zoom in a little bit, Jason?
Sure. That better?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a prompt that just says, hey, you're a social media marketing expert, research my company and then create 3 social media posts for LinkedIn, Facebook, and some other details here. And so here I'm going to send that and say go, and it's going to go off. It's going to research my company, get all the relevant information. And here we go. It's starting to generate those, and it's going to spit this out. We'll come back and look at these results here in just a minute. The other thing that I want to do, and so I guess first, I didn't have to give this anything. I just gave it this prompt. So that's one way. We just give it information that I have in my head, and it's going to go and do that. The second example is the RFP. And so AI can be really powerful and useful when we give it access to company information or data. And so in this case, I want to say, yes, I want to give you access to a file. And I happen to have a sample RFP that I'm going to use here. So I'm now giving it access to this document, this RFP that I want to respond to. And then I'm going to give it a prompt. Right? And so my prompt here is, you're a proposal writer for my company. You're going to provide, here's the document, analyze it, create a draft response, and it should include these things, these 7 things right here. I give it, also say, assume the reader or the provider is this. Here we go. I'm going to hit go, right? And so it's going to read this document. It's going to follow these directions, and it's going to come back out. Let's jump back to our social media posts here. And so just with this prompt here, and just you saw it in a few minutes, here I've got post 1. Here's my banner image concept. Here's the actual post. There's post 2. You can see that I've got another post here that I could put on Facebook, LinkedIn, what have you. Post 3. So very quickly, I'm giving these things. Now what you'll see at the bottom as well is, hey, here's some pro tips. I told it was a social media marketing expert, so it's going to give me some tips. And then it says some suggestions as well. Hey, I can actually create these banner images. I can create a 30-day social media calendar for you, and lead magnets and landing pages, things like that. So you'll see that we can take this and use it. And I'm not a marketer. I don't claim to be. And I've always struggled with marketing content. I've now got some AI that can help me build that, right? If I come back here to my RFP document, I can see that, hey, below is a draft. Here it is. Here's my executive summary. Here's all of the things that I had in that RFP for IT services. Here's all the there should be seven. I asked it for 7 things. There it is, and it's continuing. So now again at that end, it's giving me some examples. What's nice about this is we can also iterate on this. So here I've got this prompt. I like it, but maybe I want to say, hey, rewrite the executive summary so it's more for a CEO. Just tell it, and it's going to go ahead and update that. Now, I would never just take this document and just upload it and say, here's my RFP. And I don't think any of you would either. But what AI allowed me to do is very quickly get a draft that I can then look at and then start making edits to it. It takes a lot of the busy work. It sped me along quite a bit, where this could maybe take me hours, is now taking me a few minutes. And now I can get into the meat of what I can really provide with my company and the value that I can bring to this RFP. Last example that I want to show you here is how we can integrate AI into your business apps that you're familiar with every day. So here's an example of a very simple P&L for an organization. Here I've got my P&L here. I've got my revenue, cost of goods, and again, let me zoom in maybe a little bit here. And then across the last 6 months, right? And so what I did, and I'm not going to do this live because it takes a little, this took a little bit longer, but I'll walk you through it. I basically said, you're a financial analyst, provide these 6 things on my P&L. It read my P&L, the sheet that I'm on, it did all these things here, and eventually it gave me an analysis. And what it did is it created a new tab in my sheet and built this sheet for me. I did not have this originally. It built out my key metrics. It built out my analysis month over month and expense breakdown, right? And then it gives me these findings. I then was able to take this and said, okay, with those findings, now provide a budget for the next 12 months that reflects the growth trends that we identified here. I gave it some additional information saying, hey, in November, I need to hire somebody at $70K a year. Normally during the holidays, we get a slight bump in sales, do all these things. And then it went and took this analysis with the original P&L and then built my budget. So then after that, it built this tab of my budget. It gave me things that I can adjust and tweak here, gave me my monthly budgets for that and my projection. Last thing I did with that is if I come down, the last prompt I said, hey, I just spoke to my landlord and my lease is up, our renewal will be 10% higher, adjust our budget to reflect that. So again, this iterative process that we can just continue to work on our business data in the tools that we normally are using, right? So this is really valuable and helps to kind of speed things along. It takes a lot of that busy work and can really accelerate you. So maybe I'll share one last example and then I'll turn the time over to Brian, or maybe we'll stop and have like a quick discussion. But as we were talking about out here, you maybe back up a slide or two. Mostly what I showed you is these efficiency tools, right? How I can quickly gain some time back in my day. AI is a competitive edge, maybe looking at our financials or maybe taking that to then plan for maybe something beyond that. I want to share one example here of solving a big problem. And so one of the things within this page, within advanced data, this is a story that we had. So probably about 6 years ago, we had a need within our organization that we wanted to solve. And the product tools in our industry couldn't solve it at the time. And so we decided we could either not do it or we could try to build it ourselves. And so we invested and started to build it ourselves. This was a software project that we started in. It was a product called VizDocs that we needed. Its whole purpose was to take IT documentation and make it easy for us. So we could, some of you are our clients, so we take your business, your firewalls and switches and wireless and network infrastructure, all your locations, all the things that we're supporting. We need to document all that information, put it in one place, and get quick access to it. We also wanted a network diagramming tool as part of that. So we spent about 2 years developing this product. And ultimately, in the end, it was expensive, and the time investment and the capital investment and limitations at the time, we just couldn't get it off the ground. And so we ended up pivoting. It wasn't a complete waste, but it was a hard problem that we couldn't solve easily, and we spent a lot of time and effort into it. Fast forward to today, as we were thinking about this with AI, we said, that's interesting. That's still a problem we have. We still want to solve it. Let's see if AI can help us. And so finally, what I'll show you here is we were able to kind of bring that project back to life. And using AI, we were able to very quickly iterate on our ideas and technology. And here it is. I mean, this is live. This, just to kind of give you an idea, over a period of a couple weeks, we were able to build this product, and not without a lot of effort, but so yeah, we were able to solve this problem that originally took us 2 years. We've now got a solution in place that is usable. Here I can see there's all the things I can document. Here's a network diagram that I can put devices on, and my text can see different things. If I wanted to see information about different assets and things like that. So it's just kind of a cool thing to say, all right, AI solved this big problem for us. It really helped us along. And yeah, it's just a kind of a cool win for us.
Yeah, and you mentioned, Jason, 2 years, but also the investment, right? It was like approaching $1 million in investment that we made into the software team. And now today with tools, we were able to just in a couple weeks in our pajamas at night, right? Like work through this. And so it really it demonstrates just how far the technology has come. It's really amazing.
Yeah. All right. That's it for me. I'm just excited about AI in general. So if any of you have questions or just want to chat, feel free to reach out. I think everyone on our team is like that. Brian, I know you've got some stuff that you want to show as well, so I'll turn the time over to you.
Definitely. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Very good. Well, hey, everybody. I am such a geek. I love AI so much. I love talking about it. And I'm like, I really struggled to figure out like what I could distill down because there's so much content that I want to show. So let me just do a quick demo. I have ChatGPT open here. One thing I want to show is just something that isn't maybe used as often as it should be is to use skills. What skills are is it's the ability to tie your AI chat into some other application. And so in this case, I'm going to enable the Gamma skill. Gamma is a presentation platform. It's actually the one that we're using today. And I am just going to ask it to make a presentation for me. And I'm going to dictate this because this is how I do a lot of my AI prompts. It takes a long time to just type a lot of words, right? And so I'm just going to dictate this now. I need to make a short slide deck for a presentation that I'm going to do about the unique and powerful use cases of AI in small businesses today. I'd first like to talk about the amazing impacts that AI has had, starting with DeepMind and its solving of the protein folding problem. So I'd like you to walk us through that in a few slides. Next, provide a slide where we can talk about what AI agents are. And last, I want to share a cybersecurity dashboard that I built with AI coding tools that integrates with about a dozen or so of the cybersecurity tools in our stack. I don't want a lot of words on the slide, so just use good images to guide the conversation. All right, so my prompt is here. I'm going to hit go on this. So while this is thinking, I also want to just talk about a few other tips. First of all, you'll notice that we're using, you'll see it here at the very bottom. Let me zoom in so you can see this. We're using the paid version of the tool. So you'll see it doesn't use this workspace to train its models. This is really important. If you're going to enter business data into an AI chat, you better make sure you're not using the free version because the free version goes to train the models at large. And so please, that would be my very first recommendation is stop using the free stuff. Besides, the paid stuff is so much better. It's far superior. And so if you've had a bad experience with AI in the past, I would challenge you to, hey, pay for the tool, and I think you'll be impressed with what it can do. The other thing is I've found is that I actually use multiple tools. So you'll see that I have Claude also here. I have Gemini, and it's important to know that each tool itself has different modes. By default, ChatGPT goes to an auto mode, but there's also a thinking mode and a pro mode. I've I've hit my limit for the month on the pro mode. You'll see here it says it's going to reset at 4:45. So, but I've used all of my credits for that. But there are times where when I want something really, really deep done for me, then I'm going to switch to using a higher mode, or I'm going to switch to research mode. And you'll find that when you switch to these modes, the AI can sometimes take up to 20 minutes to really churn on whatever problem you're giving it. The other thing that I will often do is I will give all three models, in this case, I'll give Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT the same problem to work on if it's very deep. If it's something that will have high impact on our business, I want to get it right. And so often what I'll do is I'll give the same prompt to all three, and then I will allow them to debate each other in a way where I'll then share, hey, here's what another model said, here's what another model said. Can you highlight the strengths or the weaknesses in their argument? And as I've done that, I've found that I can get really, really strong decisions made. It's almost like having three separate professional consultants in whatever industry it is that I'm researching. Let's go back here to our prompt. Let's see if this is done yet. Okay, good. So it generated our slide. Let me go ahead and open this up. Okay, so here's the presentation. This is a little bit meta, but now I'm in a presentation that AI made for me, and we're talking about AI, right? So let's first go into one of the highlights I feel like AI has been able to conquer, and this is the protein folding problem. So if you're not familiar with protein, there's a lot of biology in this, and I don't claim to be a pro with biology, but protein is a chain, and the chain of proteins, the way they connect, they eventually fold. And so this is when they fold, they turn into a structure. That structure will determine what the protein does. Does it help with digestion? Does it fight diseases? And for over 50 years, once protein folding was discovered, scientists have been trying to crack the code for, well, how do we determine a string of protein, what it will look like? And scientists typically, when they need to solve a protein folding problem, it would take many, many years and millions, tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars just to solve one single protein. Well, the problem is there's like, I don't know, just a few 100 million proteins that exist out there. And so the company called DeepMind, what they did was they developed AI that could then look at these proteins, and they fed it all of the years of research so that it could start to model what protein folding would look like, so they could predict it. And this happened just a few years ago, that they were able to unravel and crack the code for protein folding. They solved every single of the hundreds of millions of proteins that are out there. They solved every one. And then they published it to the world in a freely accessible database. Now, the impact that this has is phenomenal, because when we think about what happened, Paul earlier mentioned COVID, and how it took us, I mean, although that was incredibly rapid pace, we didn't have the answers then about the proteins to make the drugs that could create, that we could to fight against it. And so now it's quite possible that if there's a new virus that comes out, because of the research that was published that AI was able to crack, like it would take not very much time for us to develop pharmaceuticals to address whatever that is. So really, really fascinating. And again, that happened kind of in the background. Like not a lot of people are aware of this. I would highly recommend, there's a documentary called The Thinking Game. Watch that, and it'll kind of tell the story. Next thing, and I realize my time's short, so I'm going to kind of shortcut some of these things, but I want to talk about AI agents very, very briefly. What an AI agent is, you'll notice it's not a chat. It's not something that I'm going to chat with and have this interaction. What an AI agent is it's something that is waiting for input. Input will trigger it. AI can then do work on that input and then deliver a result. And just this year, especially in January, a product came out that hit the market that really changed the way that AI professionals see agents working. And so it's accelerating so fast. I think where I'll end is I would give you some homework. There's 2 articles that I would highly recommend everyone read. The first is called Something Big is Happening by Matt Schumer. We'll share links to these, by the way. And the other is the 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis by Centrini Labs. You may have seen these in the news over the last few weeks. Please especially read the first one. Just to give you a hint of how geeky I am, I shared this with my wife and my kids and even my mom, and it generated some really fun and interesting dinner time conversations. So with that, I'll go ahead and end here. I can't fit it all in. There's so much I want to share. I love this stuff. So I would just welcome further conversations. And I'm going to stop my sharing. We'll move on. Paul, hand it back to you.
Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. I had been muted. Thank you. Brian, Jason, thank you so much for sharing with us. And I think everybody can kind of see just what it is that we're doing behind the scenes. And you know, we're really only scratching the surface, if I'm being honest, about the amount of work and the learning that is happening. It's what gets us up in the morning and what makes us really excited. We're making some massive investments in AI. And so I wanted to use this time to introduce Keith Evans, our new AI consultant. And Keith is on the call with us today. Keith, you want to wave to everybody?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everybody. I know we are very short on time at this point, so I'll just take a quick minute and tell you a little bit about myself. I've focused my career mainly on helping business leaders apply technology in ways that genuinely move their organizations forward, and not just technology for its own sake, but technology that resolves real operational challenges and opens AI up in businesses for new opportunities. My greatest motivation has always been what I like to call achieving the magic wand scenario. This is where the right technology removes operational friction, improves decision-making, and allows teams to focus on work that truly matters. The reason why I mention this and my excitement behind it is AI is truly the first technology that I've seen that can deliver on this vision in a meaningful way. And I know that most of us are in our early stages of experimenting with AI, and very few of us know where to truly begin to innovate. We're just experimenting with tools, but tools are not strategy. And so what we have worked on at Advanced Data is developing what we call the AI roadmap. And we are past time, Paul. I'm not sure if we have time to dive into this now. We can certainly do this. Shall we proceed?
I think we should, because this is what your role is. This is we've given you the magic wand to come and implement this for all of our clients and make sure that every one of our partners have an opportunity to put a roadmap in place for their organization.
Well, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. And so I'll start by saying that the personalized roadmap is a free service for all Advanced Data managed service clients. If you're an existing client, this is something that we will consult with you and handle this for you. So how does this work? What does that mean specifically? What is the roadmap and what will you receive? Well, we'll start with a very clear starting point for you. And this will begin with the discovery. We'll learn how your business operates and where your bottlenecks exist. We'll determine what guardrails or policies should guide your responsible usage of AI. This is something that's very important. Brian mentioned not using free LLMs. That is just the beginning of creating guardrails, but we will address that for you. We'll also ensure data readiness and remove any blockers that you might have around using AI. And we will also, of course, provide any guidance and education needed in the first step. After we have gathered that data, we'll perform an AI opportunity analysis. This is where we'll identify where AI can create the most meaningful business impact and where it can improve efficiency, decision-making, the customer experience, or even risk management. The team will align AI opportunities with your goals, challenges, and growth priorities. We'll provide AI initiatives ranked by value and readiness, and this step will be focused entirely on business outcomes, not the tools. The natural inclination for a lot of businesses here is to increase efficiency by solving problems and remove the busy work. This definitely has value, but this is not what I consider to be the magic wand scenario. We need to think big when we're thinking about how AI will impact our business. The third step of our roadmap will operationalize AI. And what I mean by that is we'll move AI into real workflows using a structured approach that provides clear, manageable steps for adoption. You can think of this as a phased implementation plan that is specifically tailored to your business. And finally, we will continually optimize and evolve the plan. We know that AI isn't a one-time project and it's an ongoing capability. As you've seen today, it's moving extremely fast, and we will stay on top of all of the changes and developments for you. In this phase, we'll continually identify new opportunities, refine implementations, and improve cost efficiency as the technology matures. Organizations that treat AI this way will build a long-term advantage over their competition. And so in closing, I'd like to say that the goal of our roadmap isn't complexity, it's clarity. I'd like you to think of advanced data as your strategic partner and know that AI success is not determined by having the latest tools. It's about having a clear strategy and the right partner to guide you on your journey. And so AI presents an incredible opportunity in doing this, and I'd like to encourage you to think big. And Paul, since we are over time, I think that's enough detail for now, but we will be looking forward to scheduling consultations and working with you all individually. I'm very excited about AI, so is the entire team, as you can tell, and we're very much looking forward to working with you on this.
Keith, thank you so much. I wanted to add just one thing to what you shared about this roadmap here. I want all of our partners to understand that we see AI as very different than, say, what we've done in the past with firewalls, right? So take a firewall, for example. Advanced Data can leverage our expertise and experience to say, this is the best firewall, the best value for the money. We're going to teach our team how to use it. We're going to deploy it. We will then, monitor it, and you don't really have to do a whole lot, nor do you have to participate a whole lot. We see AI as one where we really need to work side by side, shoulder to shoulder, to make sure that all the benefits that you've heard from Jason and Brian are being implemented in your organization. Without that partnership, it might not be as effective. In fact, it probably won't be effective. And so I really want to emphasize these first two steps, the evaluation and the education part. This is where we get to come and work side by side with you. I also need to emphasize, as Keith mentioned, this is something that we see as critical for every organization. So if you're a managed service partner, we want to invite you to meet with us. And there's absolutely no cost or obligation to do that. We want to implement these policies and understand how this is going to impact your business. We want you to understand it and to be able to give voice to it. And
Paul, I just want to add to that real quick, that for some of the tools that some of the software that we connected inside our organization, we could do it really, really fast because it's in our knowledge domain, right? Like we know what IT operations requires, and so we could make software to do that. And what you just said is we need the partnership, because we may not know all the details and the depth of your organization's processes, right? Like there's a lot of different industries represented here today. And so I totally agree with that we're going to need deep, I guess, partnership and walking side by side, because in order for us to generate powerful AI workflows or software, we have to really understand what is the business need and the business process and the business case, and then it will create something really, really valuable.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. You see on your screen here a QR code. This is a code that will lead you to our Calendly page where you can schedule your next appointment with Keith. We would love to meet with every single one of our partners and every one of our prospects. If you are not a managed service client of Advanced Data, we'd like to meet with you and show you how we work with our partners.
One other thing, Paul, is we didn't mention it yet, is we also have a class. Do you want to say more about that before we close?
Yeah, so at the end of March, we're going to begin some education courses where we're going to invite our partners to come into our Advanced Data offices, and we're going to share several weeks of content and courses. Again, as we mentioned, we're making heavy investments in AI, especially maybe in the healthcare space, and so we will share more about these courses and these opportunities with you, depending on your need and where you are. There's things for everybody. You can see even on our webinar We had things with sales, things with marketing, things with HR, things with finance, things for tech providers, things for system engineers. This technology should influence every area of your organization as it has for us. So, Brian, thank you for that reminder. With that, let's go ahead for those who are of our friends who are still with us, and it looks like that's almost everybody. We would love to answer any questions that you might have um, uh, while we're here together. Would anybody like to raise their hand or enter a quote in a question in chat? And Jason, I see you've been answering some of the questions. It might be worth maybe revisiting just a couple of those principles. One was about favorite tools, and another about just the big three tools: Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT. Anything you want to offer there?
Well, I think the question in chat, and you can read it, was which tool do you use? Which do you like? Which do you recommend? And really, they all have their different strengths and weaknesses. And I think it was shared that when one releases a feature, that wait a week or two, and the next will kind of come out with that thing. The rapid pace of development of these tools is great. What we would say is align yourself with one of the tools. I think you'll be well served with any of them. We tend to like ChatGPT and Claude, but we use all that we can get our hands on for evaluation. And so yeah, pick one, and most of the time you're just on a month-to-month subscription, so you can always change if you need to. But when you invest in a tool, you train it, and it learns about you. So then when you put in prompts, it has context about you and your business and other things. And so that can be really valuable as well.
I might just quickly add, Jason, that as Keith meets with our partners and as we have conversations and we understand what needs are, we can guide you through that process too. We can take some of that pain out because we've learned in some ways what tools not to use and which things are not good at which functions. Happy to share that with you. That's a part of our roadmap, is giving you that edge and then staying ahead so that you'll have that information in the future.
While we're waiting on others, there was another question about how do we get AI accounts out to our employees? Does everyone have to just go out and get their own account, or are there business accounts? And absolutely, there are business and enterprise accounts that you can use. It gives you greater control over security and compliance. It also allows you to, Brian mentioned skills and other things. It allows you to have custom GPTs and skills and other things that you can share. You can have a central repository of kind of skills that you can share amongst others, and you can have create collaborative projects as well, so that multiple people can contribute on a single project within an AI workspace. So absolutely, if you have more than 5 users, recommend absolutely getting a business plan so you can kind of keep tabs on that usage.
And it'll keep your data private too when you go with those enterprise and team plans.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or topics that you want to hear about? Right.
Well, I could just get on my soapbox and keep talking, but I don't think people want that. I love this stuff.
Let's see, one maybe just came in here. Can it help build APIs? So yes, Brian, maybe you want to talk about that because you've had a lot of experience with this, but absolutely it can.
Yeah, I mean the application that Jason showed earlier, that was all developed with AI agentic coding tools, and it's API driven. So yeah, absolutely, it can help develop APIs. It's also really, really good at discovering how an API works. And so you can put an AI agent and say, hey, go figure out how this API is. So for those that don't know what an API is, it's a way that programs talk to other programs. And so you can imagine where that becomes really, really useful in business is if I've got all sorts of applications and I want them to talk to each other, then you do that through an API. And I actually didn't show it. It was one of the things that I was going to show, but I did that recently with this dashboard for our cybersecurity stack. We have all these different tools, and it was frustrating because if I wanted to find data, I had to jump into each one. And so we created a dashboard that pulls the data from all the things that are important to us, and then we get it on a single place that our team can go to. So that's been, yeah, it's great for that sort of thing.
Brian, I wonder how many, so that question was asked by Barney. We had talked earlier in the week, but how many of you have ever wondered to yourself, let's use Keith's magic wand scenario. How many of you have ever wondered what would happen if you could actually have your systems talk to each other in the back end? Go ahead and enter in chat if that's you, because I'm almost, this is so powerful and so exciting. As Brian said, he could probably talk about it for hours on end, but it's amazing and really, really powerful.
Somebody asked about Copilot. I see we have tried Copilot, and it's good at some things. It's not good at others. And so Copilot is Microsoft's kind of front end. Microsoft has about 27% stake in OpenAI, and so primarily they use ChatGPT under the hood. But it's kind of like it's just a front end for ChatGPT. It's still in works. I'll just say that I think eventually it's going to be really amazing inside the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. Like that's really where it's going to start to take flight. There is even a Copilot Studio that is really impressive when it comes to creating automations inside Microsoft 365. But I generally do not rely on it for some of the more general work that I was talking about earlier. And I see another question here about explain how AI can interact with different applications. We saw Excel. What about design software or EMRs? So if it was going to be something like an EMR, then that would be API driven. And so that's where developing what's sometimes called middleware between dissimilar software, dissimilar vendors could really come into play, where we can get data out of one system, put it into another system automatically, or do something with that data. With design software, I already showed a demo of that, right? It made my slide deck for me. And there's some really cool other tools out there. I mean, we've all seen the stuff on social media about AI images and AI videos. I mean, it does really good at that sort of thing. All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate everybody coming, and we're going to be sending this recording out for everybody as well. I just want to emphasize again that we'd like to invite everybody to schedule some time with Keith to set up your AI roadmap and to help us understand how we can support you in helping your organization be as efficient and as effective as possible and solve real big problems that we haven't maybe been able to engage with before. There's more that we can do now, and we're excited to tackle that. So thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Look forward to working with you.
Bye now.